What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? Happy Wednesday, hump day. I hope that everybody is doing good and having a great afternoon. I'm very excited about this live. We have MJ, Millissa Jayne. I'm very excited to have her on here. And, I was thinking because this live is going to be about, is it possible to live debt free? Can we be debt free? And I'm going to put Melissa's channel in the chat so you guys can go over there and check it out. Now, I know her YouTube channel is about like tech, but she does a lot of different topics. And I've seen her on collabing on other people's channel. And the other day, I was watching a video and it was about, I want to say it was about Steve Harvey. So he was doing the what is it called, the family food, and he had asked this guy, okay, what is one thing that everybody wants to do? And he says, I want to be debt free. And then not Dave, and then Steve Harvey was like, no, like you use other people's money. It's not about being debt free. And it just like crushed the guy's spirit, I think. And so Dave Ramsey, he ended up picking this up and he was just like ripping Steve Harvey one. And so it really got me to thinking. So I was talking to my dad, and then yesterday I was talking to my sister about it. Can we live debt free? And so I thought that it would be great to have Millissa Jayne on so that we can talk about this. So I am very excited. So let's see who we have on today. So we have Love to Travel with Wave. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you. And then we have Jonathan Barronville. What's up? I'm sadly going to miss this stream, but the two of you are dope. Thank you so much. Melissa already knows how much I rock with her, and don't even get me started on your brains. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. I hope that you're doing well. But I thank everybody so much for joining, y'all. It has been a really good day. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring Millissa Jayne up and we'll get started. What's going on, MJ? Oh, let's see. Can you unmute yourself?
That would be good, right? Hey, everybody, how are you?
How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm doing good, thanks. I'm excited to be here. And thank you for inviting me to be on your channel. It's really exciting.
Yes. I have been wanting to have you on my channel, and I am so glad that when I asked you, you were available. So I really appreciate it. And we have Before the Billions in the chat. What's up? I know that this is a topic that he is really, with credit cards and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm glad that he was able to join. But Melissa, I just thank you so much for joining. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel.
All right. Thank you again. My name is Millissa Jayne. Some people call me MJ, not like Michael Jackson. but my channel is about, well, I'll tell you the truth. For the first part of 2022, the focus has been wealth. So I've had people come on the channel, like yourself, Tasha, talking about things to do with wealth building, finances, credit, just improving ourselves in wealth. So I'm going to continue that sort of track for a little bit longer for the first quarter of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that my channel is about is tech. It's to do with like social media tech, video editing, things that can help you either in your YouTube channel or just in your digital marketing in general. So there's kind of like two different tracks that I have. I kind of started the channel seriously in like October of last year, having met the lead attorney,
right?
Having met his channel. That's when
we met.
kind of got started from there. But the channel
Mhm.
has been going long, 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 way before then. So that's a
Okay,
brief
yes. And
introduction.
I really, I'm so thankful that you had me on your channel and even just watching your videos too, because like with the tech and then like today, you know how you move stuff around like at the last minute, I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna be struggle streaming, I hope everything is okay. So that is so funny. But I wanted to kind of jump in because I know that you said on your channel, like I know that you talk about tech, but like you said, for this first quarter, you have been talking about, wealth. You had the Intentional Millionaire on there, you had me on there, and I know that you've had some other people on there.
Mhm.
And when I was thinking about this stream, I told you that I saw this video about Steve Harvey. So he was on the Family Feud, and one of the questions came up, and the gentleman said that he wanted to be debt free one day. And Steve was just like, well, just crushed his dream, saying, like, no, you want to use other people's money. And then Dave Ramsey picked it up. So let me know, what do you think about that? Is it possible to live debt free?
Oh yeah, absolutely, it's possible because I'm living debt free. So absolutely, it's possible. There's a whole community of people that live debt free. As definitely those that followed Dave Ramsey's school of thought. But I do also give credit to those people who live on other people's credit. And and that's something that I will probably do a little bit later, but I've already gotten the discipline of knowing how to live debt free. So
Mhm.
when I do decide to invest, maybe in real estate using the bank's money, it'll be with a lot of thought and responsibility. And when we
Right.
talk a little bit about credit cards, which you're an expert
Hmm.
in, but
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of responsibility that takes as well. But before I go any further, I've got to give a shout out to those in the chat room. Jonathan
Yes.
Barronville. Hey,
Let's take a
Jonathan.
look.
He
So
says,
we
he
have
says, Tasha, you're looking like a snack tonight, girlfriend.
what's going on? We got Jay Emmanuel from Right to Real. Y'all have to go over and check his channel out. And I'm so glad you were able to check me out earlier. I really appreciate you for joining. And then Jonathan said, okay, Jonathan, what's going
Go
on?
ahead
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
now.
And then we got Before the Billions. He's just
Hey,
laughing.
before the billions.
That is
Oh,
so funny. I
that's
really
funny.
thank
I
you.
love it. Yeah, you do look. I gotta say as well, you do look absolutely gorgeous tonight, as always. But you look
Oh,
especially snackalicious tonight.
thank you. Thank you. I went walking for a little bit, so starting to get a little sun and all that. So that I think that always does me well. When you can walk a little bit. And what's up? Okay, we got Getty from Getty Money.
Hey,
So what's
Getty.
going on?
Oh, you know what? You know what? Also, Tasha, I'm having a little bit of a network issue, so sometimes I think I'm going to be frozen for a second or two. So you may experience that, but it's something that I'm working on. Okay.
Okay, no problem. So I know that you stated that you are debt free. So I kind of just want to first tell me, how long have you been debt free?
How long? It's got to be a good. It's got to be a good. Oh, maybe 10, 15 years now. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good little while now. Yeah, a good 10 or so years, I believe.
Ooh, that is great. So tell me, what made you, did you have debt before, and what made you want to transition into being debt free?
I didn't have a lot of debt, to be honest with you, but it's just something that I've always wanted to achieve. And let me tell you the story. Let me tell you the story of how we got here. Can we go back a little bit?
Yes.
So growing up, we didn't have we didn't have everything growing up. We were a family. I was raised by a single parent for a lot of the time. My mother got married. Um, she got married. She got divorced. So she was single for a long time. And so we didn't have everything. We had, a pretty, let's just say, modest life, and my mother always taught us not to buy anything that we can't afford. So she was not a great fan of credit. She, if you can't afford it, you don't get it. You wait until you can afford it. So we had that kind of mentality growing up. Okay. So later on in life, once I left home and I wanted to have my own apartment and so forth, that followed me through. Now, I was born in England and I was raised there, but in 1998 was when I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, I was actually got the company that I was working for was an international company, and they sponsored me to come and work in the New York office. And the first 6 months, a year or so after getting to New York, I kind of just let things go a little bit. I wasn't really, I didn't really have a lot of debt before that. But once I was in New York, and just the whole move, I mean, it was actually paid for, but just getting myself situated and New York life, right? I just let things go a little bit. So I racked up just a tad, just a little bit of debt while I was there. And then I remember I was dating somebody, right? And we're going to get into a little bit about business here. I was dating somebody, and he was somebody that was very, very frugal. Frugal is the word, right? And we talked about finances, and we started to get a little bit serious, and the question must have come up: how much debt do I have? And once I said, I've got such and such amount of debt, he's like, oh, this relationship really can't go any further with you having debt. You gotta really sort that kind of debt out. He's not going to be the person that's going to take on my debt, or anything like that. So from that, I was like, you know what? I've always been a person to be really very careful about debt. And the moment that I meet somebody who potentially could go far, he's telling me that this relationship can't go any further until I get rid of my debt.
Wow.
And
let me ask you this. Let me jump into the chat really quick.
Sure.
I want to say, yes, I want to say what's up to Jean, 1984 G. How are you doing today? And Before the Billion says, I'm working on being debt free again. And Jonathan says, I remember how happy I was when I first heard Millissa Jayne's debt-free story. She's doing the right thing, and I hope she keeps it up. I know. I heard it the first time, and I was just, I had to have you on the channel because, even for myself, like I'm striving to become debt-free myself because, I haven't had credit card debt for a while, and then I paid my auto loan off earlier this year.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I paid it off last year in December 2021.
Right.
And so right now I have my student loans and I have my mortgage. And so, but we're going to get into that. So, okay, let's see. We have Before the Billions gave a 1999 super chat. What did they say? No question, no comment, just pure love. Thank you so much, Before the Billions.
Awesome.
And then, okay, here, this is a good question or comment. So it says, I bet most men Millissa Jayne encounter are now are not debt free themselves.
I know, right?
Ooh, do you know Millissa Jayne? Is this guy, is he still debt free? Do you know?
I don't know. So I have to tell you the rest of that story because obviously, to be honest with you, that wasn't a bad thing for him to say that. It did shake me up a little bit. It wasn't too bad for him to say that because that made me say I'm never going to let the fact that I have debt stop me from anything ever again. Whether it would be a relationship, whether it would be getting a car or a house or whatever. Having debt can be a disadvantage. So I said, you know what? I never want to have that disadvantage again. It turns out with that relationship that he wasn't the guy for me anyway. Not because of the debt-free issue, but because um, it just didn't work out. And there was a particular thing. I mean, I'm sure that he's never ever going to listen to this, but there was a particular thing what that I remember that made me like, you know what, this is not gonna, that's not gonna work. And I don't think I mentioned this on the last time I mentioned it, but um, I was visiting him right in his hometown one time, and I was in the other room. I was in the bathtub getting ready for whatever, getting ready for bed, not whatever, getting ready for bed, and I came back out to get a glass of water or something that I didn't quite get into the tub. So it was like I kind of came out unexpectedly, and I saw him going through my bags.
Oh my gosh,
And
no.
and so I think I was there for a long weekend or something. So I took my bag and my computer and a lot of stuff. So I had a big bag, and so I would be working on maybe the Friday, so I don't have to miss work on the Friday or something like that, or the Monday, right? So he's going through my bag. So when I came out, I'm like, "What are you doing?"
No, like, no, like, oh my.
And and his excuse was, "Oh, you had a lot of bags, and I was just wondering what you had." So that was
Whoa.
like that just threw me for the loop. And
Yeah,
there's a couple of other things, but at the end of the day, it was like, you know what, this ain't gonna work.
man, yeah, that would have been like a no-go for me.
That was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. But
Yeah,
it did teach me a lesson, and that was that, you know what, I never want to have credit stop me from getting something that I want.
right, right.
Yeah.
Wow, I want to say what's going on to Wally. Thank you
Hey,
so much
Wally.
for joining. And then we have the Intentional Millionaire in the chat. What's going
Hey, intentional
on?
millionaire.
Wow, that is, oh my gosh, that is crazy that he was just going through your bag. But I think that's definitely an interesting story on how even though it was kind of maybe not like the perfect experience, it did
Yeah.
kind of trigger something within
Right.
you to, okay, this is kind of where I want to go. So
Hmm.
I know that you possibly said you didn't have a lot of debt, but you had some debt. So
Hmm.
what was your thought process in getting out of that debt?
Right. So this was when I was in New York. So I do remember I used to watch. I did what I could to in order to get into the mindset, and it included listening to Susie Orman. Now, Susie
I
Orman
like
used to,
Susie Orman
right?
too.
Susie
Mhm.
Orman used to have a Saturday night show. It tells you I weren't dated on a Saturday night. I'm a whole bunch of Susie Orman, right? So
Right.
Susie Orman had a Saturday night show, and she used to have this segment called
Can you afford
"How are
it?
How are you doing?"
Yeah.
The "Can you afford it" part to me was just entertaining, because
Oh, okay.
I never really felt tempted to. I was never an extravagant person. I never really
Mhm.
bought things that were like more expensive than
Then
expensive
it
stuff,
needed to be.
designer clothes, stuff like that. I'm not that kind of a girl. I'm very, very
Hmm.
simple, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I used to like the segment that said, how am I doing?" And
Hmm.
it would go through, how much credit card you had compared to um, how much other debt,
Yeah.
um, when you intend to retire, and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it was a really, really good segment, as well as listening to, of course, Dave Ramsey. All
Right.
right.
Dave
And
Ramsey too.
he used to have this debt-free script. Actually, I think Dave Ramsey came later on in life, when I was paying off the mortgage. So I'll
Okay, we're
say
gonna get to
yeah,
that
I'll
too.
save that part
Because
for
that
later.
wow, because that is
Yeah.
amazing just to think. Okay, so you were listening to Susie Orman, you were listening to Dave Ramsey. I love them both. I've actually, I have one book of Susie Orman's, and one time I don't know if I was no, it was here in Nashville, and she came, and I went and I got her to sign my book. I still have the book. And I love Dave Ramsey too, because that's how I got started as well. But it wasn't until I want to say 2020 in December where I actually visited the Dave Ramsey studios and just like,
Oh, nice.
I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I finally go to visit Dave
That's
Ramsey.
cool.
But but it was good. But what do you think? I feel like when I learned about Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, all of those, it's really about creating that discipline. So how
Mm.
can you give us some tips on how you became disciplined to even, pay off the debt that you had and then transition into becoming debt free?
Yeah, some of the tips are, and it's kind of really like a mindset. You when you want something so badly, you'll just literally do anything
Right.
you can possibly do. So let me see,
Mhm.
um, what sort of tips? So what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk about when I bought the house, because really the challenge came was paying off the mortgage.
Yes, like how do you even like
Right.
wrap your mind around, okay, you got a 30-year mortgage and then you're thinking about like what amount of years did you pay the mortgage off?
I think it was like 9 years. I think
Whoa.
it was either 9 years, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It was either 9 or 13, because I think what I did was towards the end of the the mortgage. I actually, this is when I bought my rental property. So let me just go back a little bit. So in 1998 was when I moved to New York. In 2006, I moved to Florida. And as a matter of fact, when I was taking before I took the job in New York, I took 2 weeks vacation in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I said to myself, one day I'm going to go back and live in Florida.
Wow.
And it took me 6 years, but I did come back, and I came to Florida. The first year I rented an apartment, and that during that year, this was the plan, during that year I would look for a house. I would take my time. I'm in a new city. Never been to Florida before, to live, but I moved there. Took a year to find the ideal house, which is a small house. I was single, by
Okay.
myself, two
Mhm.
bedroom, 2.5 baths, perfect for a single lady. Oh, I'm a single lady. Oh, I'm a single lady.
Right.
All right. So it was, again. So this is also part of why I was able to pay off this mortgage, because it wasn't a huge house. It
Mhm.
cost a little pretty penny, because it was actually in 2000 um uh 7 2007, 2000,
Mhm.
yeah, just before the sort of crash. So it was at the height of the
Mhm.
prices. So for a two bedroom, it was still kind of pricey for what it is. Definitely is not worth it right now. But
Mhm.
um after about a year and a half of, all right, so the process to buy the house it just took a lot out of me. That once I bought the house, it was closed, da da da. I was just chilled, relaxed, and I wasn't really looking at the statements every single month. I kind of just looked at them and just like, okay, put them away,
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
After about a year and a half of having the mortgage, I looked very, very closely at the statements, and I realized that I hadn't paid literally anything towards the principal of this mortgage.
Wow.
It was all practically interest, and
Mm.
that shocked me to heck. That shocked me so much that I said, no, I cannot have this mortgage for 30 years. So that was what made me
That's
decide
what made you decide.
that's got to go. That mortgage is, I've got
Wow.
to pay it off as quickly as possible. And that was when I really, really got into Dave Ramsey. Now, Dave Ramsey used to have, and I don't know if he still does, he used to have this debt-free scream,
Yeah.
where at the end
Mhm.
of, whatever it's, if it's a credit card
Yes.
um, debt, or if it's a mortgage debt or whatever, they come into the studio or they do it over the phone. I'm debt
I know. It's just
free.
like hearing that because I would say at that time, that's when you would listen to the radio,
Yeah,
listening to the radio. And I'm
every day.
telling you, like when I would hear it, it's almost like I could feel
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I could feel it. I'm just like, whoa, that is
yes.
crazy.
I felt it. When I heard it, I felt it and I wanted it. So
Mhm.
I used to listen to him every single day without fail. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says,
Yeah.
or sometimes he comes off a little bit brash, a little bit hard sometimes, I think, but that's what I needed at the time. So
Right.
that was one thing I would do. I would listen to him. I would read books on being debt free. Listen to Susie Orman as well. And
Oh, I think she froze a little bit. So
these
wow.
these
Okay, there
these
you are.
yeah, these would be the tips where I wouldn't spend a lot of money on clothes, on shoes, on bags, and all of that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not really that girl. I'm not really very materialistic. I buy what I need,
Right.
and so as far as the clothes and stuff like that, I wouldn't go crazy. I didn't go that bad to where I would buy secondhand clothes. I didn't need to. I did not need to go that bad. And also, what also helps is having a job that pays well. That's a
Right.
big
Right.
part. And if you don't have a job that pays well, I would say get a second job.
Right.
Get a second job.
Right.
You know, make some money on the side to go towards your principal. And so again, you don't just pay the mortgage or extra payments on the mortgage. You have to be very specific and
Yeah.
say you're paying down the principal. So
Mm-hmm.
any extra cash you get, it goes to the principal.
Right.
To keep yourself motivated. Are you going to say something?
Well, I wanted to give a shout out to Lewis for joining. He says he's going to grab the Navy Federal credit cards. If you do, let me know which one. And then let's see, Edward Smart joined. What's going on, Edward? Thank you
Hey,
so
Edward
much.
Smart.
And then we have Just Relax Now, and that is that's Marlene's channel. So what's going on, Marlene?
Ah, hey, Marlene.
Are doing great today. She's in Florida too. And then
Yay.
we have Miss
Mrs. DC.
DC. What's going
Hey,
on,
hey.
Miss DC? How are you doing today? So glad that you were able to join.
Ooh, Friends
I
Grimmel.
really appreciate it. And then we got a super sticker. Thank you so much, Friendsgiving.
Hey, hey.
Just pure love, no comment or no question. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys for joining. And if y'all
Love
have
it.
any questions or anything, just put those in the chat and we'll get to those. But I really appreciate y'all. So MJ, so you have bought this house. You have went a year and you really wasn't paying attention to the statements and all that kind of stuff. And one day you're checking them. You got some time. I got some time.
Right? I got some time today.
I got some time today. And you decided, I'm gonna take a look at my statement. I'm gonna really comb through it, and then you're noticing, okay, I'm paying all this interest on the mortgage. And so at that point you decided, I'm going to pay the mortgage down. Now I want to ask you this question, because I know that paying interest, I can understand that. But when we think a mortgage, a lot of times people are not thinking, okay, this is a 30-year mortgage. They're not thinking to necessarily, go from 30 to maybe, 9. So what was really the process and made you think, well, okay, here it is. Did you say I want to do it in 5, or did you just start kind of, I'm just going to start making the extra payments? Like, what was your process in that?
All right. So the process actually was after I think I might have called up the bank and asked them, there's got to be a problem here. There's got to be something that's wrong. And once they explained to me, nope, that's what it is. I said, well, how can I cut this down? So I actually asked for a mortgage modification. At the time, I don't know if they still do those right now. It's different to a what's that? It's different to refinancing. I cut it down from 30 to a 15-year mortgage.
Okay.
And the interest was actually lowered as well because of the fluctuation of the interest rates. I was able to get a lower interest rate and a shorter period of time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it meant paid more each time. But that would make sense, right? Paying more each time to get it off quick.
Right. Now, let me know, were you doing, because I know, were you making like an extra payment a month? Were you breaking it out and you paying 2 times a month? Because I know there are a lot of kind of tips and tricks in that. Were you doing any of that?
I would pay anytime I had anything extra. I would pay that against the principal. So maybe every 2 weeks or every month or so, I would just pay a separate payment, a separate. It has to be a separate payment that goes towards the principal only,
Okay.
because that will chip it off a lot quicker than if you're paying interest and principal at the same time.
Okay.
And so I think I brought it down to a 15-year mortgage, and I also um, I printed out an amortization
Mm-hmm.
schedule,
Yeah.
and so I could actually see how how much of that I would be paid each
Mm-hmm.
month, or
Okay.
every 2 weeks,
Okay.
and then every time, let's say every few months or every year or so, where I had another extra, I would put it against the principal, and I would celebrate anytime there was a big chunk. I would celebrate, and I'm not
Right.
talking about celebrating by going on vacation or doing anything
No, that's not
wild.
type of that. That's not.
I'm talking about celebrating by just doing something fun. Uh, and especially living in Florida, there's a lot of fun things you can do
It
for
is like, oh
very
my
for
gosh,
very
I
free,
need to move to Florida.
for free or very little. Pretty much every city. I don't know if this is like this, if it's like this where you live, but every city has city events which are practically free. So
Yeah.
concerts,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different things. Have a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, that was how my channel got started in the first place, because I would go to different events and do like reviews on them, and people started to know me as somebody who
Wow.
had the lowdown of what's happening this weekend, Melissa.
What's going
So
on
that
out
that
here?
was what the channel, how it started,
Mm-hmm.
7 or 8 or
Mm-hmm.
probably 10 years ago now. Yeah.
Wow. So I want to say hello to Love to Travel with Wave.
Hey.
I know she was in here earlier, but thank you so much. And then we have straight from the word
Hey.
recast is what she's talking about. Okay.
Recast.
Recast,
Oh,
I guess
recast.
with your mortgage. Thank you
hmm
so much, straight from the word. I haven't seen you in
I
the chat before.
maybe they call it something different now, because at the time it used to be called a mortgage modification, if that's what she's referring to.
Okay. Because I
Okay.
know, sometimes with the modifications, I mean, I think that they still do those type of things. Let's see. Jean says 30 years is paying double, 15 years is the way to go.
Yeah. So
And
keep
then
it short.
straight from the word
Ask your
says,
lenders.
ask your lenders if they offer recast. It will change your amortization
Yep.
table. You will
Table.
need 10,000 or more to do it. It's better than a refinancing, and it doesn't touch your credit. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Straight from
maybe
the
they've got a
word.
different name for it now. Oh, I have to
That
look
is
into
pretty
that.
good. Let me write that
Awesome.
down
Yeah, me too.
because I'm gonna be honest with you. I purchased my house around the same time you purchased your house, and
hmm
I'm not I still have mine. So, I might need to I'm gonna write this down. Recast. But that kind of gets me to where, kind of like from the Steve Harvey, question, can you live debt free? And
Oh.
I did a poll on my community tab,
hmm
and I asked that was a question, can you live debt free? And actually, 75% of people stated yes, you can live
All
debt free.
right. Good.
25% of people said probably not. And has some comments stating, okay, there's good debt versus bad debt. And that's so funny that they said that, because me and my sister was talking about it last night, and she was just like, she brought up the same thing, good debt versus bad debt. And then she was stating that, of course, I would say a mortgage is good debt, because even though I still have my mortgage, I will say that was probably the best thing that I did, because where, like, here, even in my community, you know how you people rent out theirs, they're renting them out for like $1,500, and I don't pay $1,500. Now y'all will have to go over to my budget with me, because I've been on my business. So if you want to know how much I pay on my mortgage, go over
Go check the
to my
channel.
check out my budget with me, and I'm gonna be doing my budget, because March just
Much.
started. So subscribe, or make sure to turn your notification bell on, because I'm gonna be doing it pretty soon. But so, with how the rent is here, I'm just like, I am so glad
Yeah,
that and I think that's everywhere. Nationwide, the rents have just went up so much. And so,
absolutely.
yeah, so I'm glad that I do, I have my mortgage, I have my house, and so that expense is kind of low. But then, you go to student loans, and then you go to car loans, and then you go to credit cards. So what would you say is good debt versus bad debt? How would you
Well,
categorize those things?
I would definitely say that buying a house and having a mortgage is considered good debt, because to be
Mhm.
throwing money away on rent, that's definitely not something that I think is smart. I mean, other people, and it depends on your circumstance. If you're not planning to stay somewhere for a long time, maybe then it may work for you. But for
Right.
me, it that would be a no-no to be renting at that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, I for me personally, I don't think that I wouldn't buy a car. I wouldn't be paying interest on a car. I'm going to buy a car outright, and that's just me. I don't have to have a brand new car. I'm okay
Mm-hmm.
with a second-hand car. So for that, I would say that might be considered bad debt for me.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then the other one was credit card. I use credit cards, but not for debt. So,
Right.
um,
Right. How
so
many
for
credit
those,
cards do you have?
I think I have about two that I use now. Actually, I stopped using the other one. So I use one on a regular basis to get my points, and
Mhm.
each every like quarter or so, I usually use the money to pay off the credit card. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily need to um, save it up to buy anything in particular. But I think to use credit cards is actually discipline to pay off the credit cards every month.
It
That
is.
it's definitely a way to add some extra money to your
Mm-hmm.
wallet. Now,
Yeah.
you also mentioned something that was very, very important. You mentioned the budget. So, and that was one of the first things that I should have mentioned when I talked about paying off the mortgage, is that, of course, you're going to need to know what your budget is each month, to know that, of course, those things have to be taken care of first, and
Mm-hmm.
everything extra can be used for the mortgage. Now, when I was paying off the mortgage, um, I wasn't really saving much.
Okay, that's a great question. Or because I have my mortgage and I have my student loans, and one of my goals for 2022 was to um I wanted to max out my Roth IRA for 2021, so I have until April 14th or so. But I got to thinking, and then me and my dad was talking about this. Okay, so I still have my student loans, but it's just like, okay, when you think of what Dave Ramsey says, Dave Ramsey will say, you save like $1,000. You get you some savings, and then you pay your debt off. Now, even with student loans, because I just like I go back and forth, because I'm like, student loans you can have forever. And then I have my mortgage. So I'm just like, dang, do I go ahead and max out the Roth IRA at $6,000? Do I um pay down the student loans with the $6,000? Or so what would you kind of, if you were in that situation, what would you kind of think to do?
If I was in the situation, um, now you probably have mentioned this on your channel, but how much student loans do you have? Is that something that you
So
can?
I'm at like 55,000 in student loans.
Hmm. I think I would pay off the student loans if I was in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
because you're already contributing to your Roth IRA.
Well, see, I'm not contributing to. I don't have a Roth IRA right now. I have a
Oh,
401k.
I mean, okay, the
Yeah.
401k.
Yeah.
So
So I have
because
a 401k. So that brings up another question. Would you beef up your 401k or would you get a Roth IRA?
uh, 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 uh. See, I'm not quite sure. Uh, I'm not quite sure of the order, only because you have um, the student loans. Um, so my instinct would say pay off the student loans as fast as possible, um, and then uh, you can beef up your 401k.
Intentional Millionaire says,
You know what? I would actually say ask the intentional
yeah,
millionaire.
right. Intentional Millionaire.
He's the one who can answer that question better than me. But I would say a student loan has to go first, and then
Mhm.
the other two you can decide later on after that.
Right.
But check with
Intentional
intentional millionaire.
Millionaire, I don't know, maybe a little bit later if you can come up and I can drop the link if you're available. Um, I don't know, cause it's like, yeah, I was talking to my dad about it, but I'm just like, cause it's just like my thinking. Like last year, I paid off the auto loan, so it was a 60-month loan. I paid it off in 1 year, so that was $20,000. So then I'm like, what if I paid the student loan 20,000? But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it was just so easy to pay
Mm.
the auto loan off, because that
Of
was some
course, it was not.
savings and just
Well,
it takes
how
discipline.
did you feel when you paid off that car loan?
But I felt really good. I felt really good. And even like yesterday I was talking to my sister and I was just like, wow, I really, I did it.
Yeah.
I have paid off a car loan before, but like this time doing it in a whole year, like I've never done anything. $20,000 in a year.
Uh-huh.
That is wild,
That's good.
And so I've been thinking about this because it was my goal to create to go ahead and start with the Roth IRA. So
Mm.
I've just been thinking about it, because I like to crunch the numbers and just think
Yes.
about things. And so I'm just like, dang, especially since there's no interest on the student loans right now, would it be better for me to go ahead and pay the student loans, even with the 6,000?
Right.
And okay, so Intentional Millionaire says student loans, 401k. Okay, this is a great question because that's what I was saying. So right now I'm already at the company match.
Okay.
So that's why I
Okay.
was just like, on one hand, would it make sense for me to increase my 401k since it's not going to be matched? But he's saying student loans first, company match. So I'm already doing that.
Okay. So
So
then
I
next
guess,
is Roth IRA then.
yeah. So then I really just need to go ahead and tackle the student loans. And then I'm doing the 401k match. Then I would do a Roth IRA, HSA, then max out the 401k. So, but I'm just like, I don't know, just to put that 6,000 on the student loans, like I'm serious. Like I would, like somebody would probably have to push my finger on it to pay it because I'm just like, oh, I don't know. So because I still have another month
Yeah.
before I can do it. But just even thinking about, because it's just like, really, you're where I want to be, because it's just like, just thinking, I have my student loans and my mortgage left. Those are the only two things. But sometimes what I want to do, I'm just like, I really want to sell my house, because I'm like, if I sell my house, I can get, I would make money off of it, and I could just pay. It would be like so easy. But I'm like, where would I live? And then, so I'm just like, where would I live if I
Well,
did that? And so,
well, you know what? When I listened to Dave Ramsey and some of the stories that they would tell, some of the families, they would get drastic. They might do that. They might, and he might even tell them, you can't afford this house, so sell the house, live with your parents, and in a few years' time, you can go ahead and buy your house again. So if
but
you
see, but the thing is, but it's just like, but do you really think that now? Because it's just like, even now, even though if I sold it, I would get pretty good money for it. But then where would I live? Because then it's like, then my more, if I move somewhere else, then I would double my mortgage. You see what I'm saying? Like right
uh-huh.
now, my mortgage is great. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like, on the other hand, I would be increasing my lifestyle on the one hand.
Yeah, you kind of just have to weigh up the pros and cons on what would be right for your situation.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I mentioned, I actually was watching Intentional Millionaire. He was doing a show, a Q&A show one Sunday night, I think it was. But one thing that I said was, you have to become obsessive about it.
Ooh,
Now, the
you
fact
do.
that you're thinking about this quite, it seems like you're thinking about this quite a lot. You're kind of puzzling. What should I do? What should I do? It seems like you're getting a little bit obsessive about it, which is a good thing. So I got really obsessive, and sometimes I would think the same thing. Should I just sell this house, and just rent, or do something different? And
Ooh,
once I weighed up the pros and cons, it's like, you know what? I've only got 2 more years to go, or whatever it was, 3 more years
right.
to go. I can
Mm-hmm.
do it. I look at the schedule that I have laid out for me. It seems so long. 2 years seems so long, and
But
you
then
just
it
have
go
to
by
keep
so
on.
fast, though.
You just have to keep chipping of it, chipping each month, each time you get paid, keep chipping along each time, and you see it come down a little bit by little bit, and you think about where you've come from to where you are now.
Right.
If you look back and you say, man, just like how you did with your car loan, you look back and you say, man, I just paid off 50 grand, or I've just paid off 20 grand,
Right.
and you think, if I've done that, then I could do.
Yeah. I know. That's what I was telling myself.
About time, it's about money, about pay, having a decent enough job that can um, let it get down in bigger chunks. And if you don't
Mhm.
have a good paying job, like I said before, get a side hustle, get some more money coming in, because that's, at the end of
I'm
the
like,
day.
dang, I need to be, I don't know, but driving for Uber and then all that kind of stuff. But I want to say hello to Last Year's Journey.
Hey,
You said
luscious.
don't sell it. I know. I'm just like, I'm not gonna sell it, but don't you. It was so funny because you said Intentional Millionaire, because the other day he had a great panel. Like, y'all have to go over to his channel too.
Yeah.
Go over to Last Year's Journey's channel. Go over to Love to Channel with Wave. Like, these are some really good channels. And so Intentional Millionaire had he had wealth engineering on there. And wealth engineering talking about he was gonna sell a kidney to. I'm like, that's what I'm just like, I don't know. But I'm like, that's what I'm thinking, because I'm just like that would be so, like, once I paid my, but just think, if I paid my student loans off and then I only had my mortgage, like, I would have so much, and I would have my mortgage, and then so I would have some bills, but I wouldn't have a lot of bills. But I feel
Yeah.
like right now I don't have a whole lot of bills
Right.
already. So that's the one plus for me. And then, I don't shop a whole lot.
Right.
And then my sister be laughing at me sometimes, because, I'll wear that same dress. I wear the same, all the time, so, and then I work from home. So I'm not really,
Yeah.
and then she was laughing at me the other day, yesterday, because she was talking about, because we were saying something. She was like, "Well, you don't even drive that much." I was like, "I only got like 11,000 miles on the car." She was like, "You don't even drive that much," and all that kind of stuff. So it was so funny. I was cracking up.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process, and at the end of the day, it just takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of focus. You know,
Yeah.
and something else that I did, I would visualize. I would just visualize what it's going to be like once it's finished. And also just going back a little bit, when I was living in England and I wanted to come to America, I would dream about coming to America all the time. And I
Yes.
would literally visualize it. And I plan and do all the things that it took for me to get here, which, at some point I would think, oh man, I'm never going to achieve this dream that I have of coming to America. And you visualize it, you plan it, and you say to yourself, there's no other option. This has to
Mhm.
come through,
Right.
and you just do everything that you can to become debt free if that's
Yeah,
what
and
you
then
want.
Jean says, I'm eating 4 for 4 every day to pay off the debt. I feel like somebody's coming after me with that debt. And see, that's probably one thing, because I do
What's 4 for 4?
well, I guess going to like the 4 for 4 menus. But I would say like I'll eat out, but I'm not like I'll go to like there's this restaurant over here, but see, he said Wendy's.
Oh.
But see, I'll spend like $20 for something, you know. So I go to the Jamaican restaurant and I spend like 25. So I'm not skimping out on food, you know. You know, so it's that's where so I'm just like, I probably should cut that out a little bit, you know. Intentional Millionaire said, Tasha, it's time to turn up on that, paying off that debt. I
Turn it up
know.
now. Turn it up now.
I need to crank it up a little bit. Let me see. Um, Love to travel away says I take the bus. LOL instead of buying a car. But I think that's it really depends on
If
where
you
you live
can.
too.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, and then because I'm like, I know my dad think I'm kind of crazy sometimes because I'm just like, even with my car, it's paid off, but I'm just like, I could sell it and then cause I could get a little bit more because I'm telling you, it's worth more than how much I paid for it.
Really?
Yes, and I'm just like, but I'm not too much more, because there was this one guy, he had I think it was Richard Fain, and he was talking about like he's selling his luxury cars. So like he could probably get like 30,
Mhm.
30,000 off a year. It's like I'm not getting that much, but you know what I'm saying. So, that was just funny.
Mhm.
But you did say that you do like to use your credit cards, but you pay your
Yes.
credit cards off every month. So I think that's great because I love using my credit cards and I pay my credit cards off every month. And
It's interesting because that was one thing that I didn't necessarily agree with Dave Ramsey on, because he would basically say, cut up all your credit cards. And
I would do it, but but you know what? I feel like that's what created discipline for me. Now
yeah.
I would cut them, but I wouldn't close them. So I would
Oh.
cut them up, and I wouldn't close them. And I just feel like doing that for an extended like years. I did that for a few years, and I would do jars. I would do the envelopes, but I didn't really like the envelopes and then the jars because I'm not really a carry cash type of person anyway. So
Uh-huh.
I would use my debit card. But then I felt like it gave me the discipline I need now because I think that was one really good intentional millionaire when I had put the question in there, can you pay, can you live debt free? And he said, debt is a mindset. He said, debt is a mindset. And I'm just like, I had to, you know, I had to cut the credit cards and not use them. And then I feel like it gave me the mindset because we just don't necessarily learn how to use credit cards the correct way. You
Uh-huh.
see what I'm
That's it.
saying? To where we will max them out and then we think, okay, I'm paying $20 and I'm keeping my money. But it's just like you're paying so much interest, because these credit cards is like 18%. So
That
um
you're paying uh, interest, and then
intentional millionaire.
right, that's for your fund there. $20 for your student
Thank
loan
you
fund.
so much, intentional millionaire. This is my I'm gonna pay it $20 on a student loan. That
You
is
might
so
even be
cool.
paid, you might even be paying late fees on these credit cards as well. So
Mm.
I'm very good with my credit cards, and again, I only use them to get points because I'm going to be spending that money anyway. I
Yeah.
might as well get something back.
Yes,
And
that's definitely how I feel. Because I've been talking about me getting a free trip. That was one of so I had two goals. One goal was to get a Roth IRA. The second goal was to give me a free trip. And I promise you, for March, I'm gonna do a video to give an update. But I think I'm up to probably $2,000 within a couple of my credit cards that I have points. So I got $2,000. So I think I'm gonna be able to take me a nice
ooh,
trip.
nice,
Yeah.
nice, yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Let's see.
Do we have any
Um,
comments in the chats?
let's see. Intentional Millionaire says, Tasha, you have a lot of skills that you can make some
Just
additional money. Yes, right from home. Thank you. Wally says, I will be looking to turn up the content this month. Yes, and see that's the thing, especially even like with the YouTube. I set goals for my YouTube channel, and I'm just trying to learn tips and tricks, and then two, just to bring that a really good value to people. With paying. Let's see, get your money straight with budgeting, because I really want my budgeting videos to do a whole lot better, because my budgeting videos, they don't do as good as my credit card videos, but I really feel like budgeting is where it's at first, because you have to get that discipline with knowing how
mhm,
much money you have coming in compared to how much money you have going out. And
mhm,
then two, it really helps me to understand, okay, what are those times where I am kind of overspending sometimes?
mhm.
Because I already know right now, September, I don't know why. In September, I spend a little bit more money in September for some reason. So I'm already kind of preparing myself in my mind now to where, okay, in September, I can't be spending a whole lot of money. I don't know
Mm.
why, but by me budgeting my money, I'm able to
To see
do
that.
those things to where, okay, what's going on with my money?
How long have you been doing the budgeting each month?
Well, I always been a budgeter, but I would say probably I would say probably for the last couple of years, and then
Okay.
especially on my channel, because when I first started, I was trying to kind of do a little bit of everything. So I've always done the credit, and then I was doing travel, and kind of like the motivational things, and then but budgeting was always kind of like my passion, and so
Yeah.
I really wanted to. I always thought, well, maybe I would like you go to the community centers, and then I would teach on budgeting and stuff like
Oh,
that.
cool.
And
Well,
but
nice,
see,
nice way to give back. Nice way to give back. Good.
yes, but then it's just like now I'm actually doing it on YouTube to where I don't have to go to do it that way. I can speak to a whole
Yes.
way more people doing it this way,
Yeah.
and so I would say budgeting is really my passion. But I love credit cards. I love to talk about credit cards, but those videos do a whole lot better. But I really want my getting your credit straight, and then budgeting. I really want those videos to get a little bit more traction, so that starting that discipline. I think that would be great.
Yeah. No, I like your channel because it's one of those channels that provides information that a lot of people can use. People need to know how to get their credit straight, or how to, if they want to apply for a job, you got to have good credit. You got to have a certain amount of a certain credit score, and so
Yeah,
forth. So it's very, very important. I like your channel, and most of the people
thank
that are in
you.
here,
I
Intentional
really
Millionaires
appreciate it.
channel
And I
is
would even
awesome.
say, like before the billions, because it's like, but honestly, MJ, I really wanted even to talk about interviewing skills, talk about that too, because sometimes, like when I'm interviewing people, and I'm just like, that's definitely something, because I know that before the billions, he had a stream one time when he was talking about, interviewing like questions and stuff like that, and I'm just like, that is awesome. And then I know that he just had an interview with Google, so that was great.
Oh,
But I want to say what's up to Points Blank Travel. That's the
hey.
man right there, Points Blank Travel. I hope that you are doing well. And yes, so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to drop the link.
Yeah, there was one thing that I wanted to say as well regarding being debt free, because I think you asked the question, um being debt free or using other people's money,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Right.
um One of the reasons why I think it's important to be debt free, and especially not having a mortgage, because that's usually the biggest expense that most people have, right? But it enabled me to be able to retire, let's say retire from my
Ooh,
from my 9 to 5,
wow.
um sooner than sooner than maybe
Most people.
most people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because I kind of worked out how much money and savings and investments and all of that good stuff I
Mm-hmm.
had. And when my company was laying people off a few years ago, I had a choice whether to take the severance, or well, they were laying people off essentially. But another division of the company wanted to hire me, and I looked at the pros and the cons now, because I was already I took the severance, and the rest of the year, from August to the rest of the year, I didn't have to work, because that was paying me for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So from August to the rest of the year, I wasn't working for anybody, and I started to feel like, you know what? I don't know if I really want to go back to work for somebody else. So when they did offer me that other job at the end of December of that year, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm okay. And not having any debt, not having a mortgage, enabled me to uh, not feel that I have to go back to work for
Yeah, it gave
somebody.
you the freedom.
It gave me the
It gives you
freedom.
so much more freedom.
So being debt free, it gives you your freedom. So not only freedom from the debt, but freedom to make your own choices. Many people have said, you know what, I got to go back to work because I need to pay my mortgage, or I need to pay my car bill, I need to pay my
Mm-hmm.
student loan, I need to pay
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I was able to at least say, you know what, thank you, but no thanks. And I'm happily retired from the 9 to 5, and I'm able to explore and do all the other projects that I wanted to do.
Right. That is amazing. That is really good information, and I definitely plan to be in your position one day, to where I don't have any debt, no student loan debt, and no mortgage debt. I would say most definitely no student loan debt, and because I could maybe see myself um getting another property one
Hmm.
day. But it's just like, on the one hand, I don't know that I want to sell I don't know. I'm just so conflicted, because it's like sometimes I'll say I want to sell it because I want to get the money to pay my student loans off. And then sometimes I say, well, this is my first property. I don't want to sell it so that I could maybe rent it out,
Yeah.
And
If I was you, I would actually sit down and discuss it with somebody seriously, because I think that there's a lot of, especially in our community, the intentional millionaire or somebody, and just weigh up the pros and cons and see what really um, you should do, because
Mhm.
it might not make fiscal sense to really sell the house at the end of the day. So I would definitely sort of maybe just get some real advice on that.
Right. Let's see. So we have Straight from the Word here wants to join, but I don't see your camera on. Even if you can just turn it on so that I can see you, and then I can bring you up and turn it off if you want. Let's see points. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Love to travel says I'm really enjoying this topic.
Uh,
And last year, I got to get her on the channel too. She says freedom is everything. It definitely is.
the other thing I wanted to say about real estate and about using other people's credit is towards the end of the time when I had the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I might have had just maybe a year or so to go. It wasn't that much time. Um, a, a real estate opportunity came about. It was a duplex, and that was when I decided to buy my rental property, my first rental
Mm-hmm.
property. And I had some the advice that I was getting wasn't really that great, so I got into it. It wasn't that bad. It's just that I didn't know what I didn't know. So it was a learning experience, and it wasn't a particularly nice one. Dealing with some of these tenants were a little bit was horrible. I was in the court all the time trying to
Ooh.
do evictions,
Mm.
and I was too lenient on them. I was a wuss. I felt
Oh.
sorry for them, and they knew my phone number. They'd call me up all the time, and they'd cry about their. So
Hey.
I just did everything wrong. So I'm still very, very cautious about it. I want to get back into real estate. I'm hearing from Lashes, from the Intentional Millionaire, and all of
No.
these wise people that are doing it. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm getting ready to do it again, but I have to just be very, very smart and have all the knowledge,
Right.
and then I will probably do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Well, let's see. Straight from the word. I see you down here, but I don't see you. So if you could turn your camera on for a little bit, just so that I can see you, and then I'll bring you up. But if not, then if we don't have any more questions, then I will close. Let's see. We got the intentional millionaire coming up.
okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring the intentional millionaire, but I know that's the intentional millionaire, so that's why he doesn't have to turn his camera on if he doesn't want to. But straight from the word, since I
We don't know who you are yet.
or if you could you don't have you if you can just turn it on and give me the thumbs up, and then you can turn it off, and then you can talk because you have a lot of great knowledge. But I just want, since I don't really know you, if you could do that, I really appreciate it. What's up, intentional millionaire?
What's going on, you all?
Hey.
Give me 1 second. I'm having an issue with my camera. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Okay.
Is your other guest? They look like they're camera shy.
They are, but they
What
have so much valuable
what
information.
is what is the name of them? Who is that?
Straight from the word.
Oh, straight from the word. Okay.
Mhm. But I haven't seen straight from the word around making any comments before. And intentional millionaire, you don't
All
have to turn
right,
your camera
so I can't get so I'm having technical issues, but I'll figure out
You
what's going
struggle
on.
streaming.
Yeah, I moved my computer around. I think something came loose, but
no
um,
problem.
but how y'all doing today?
We're
Doing
good.
great.
We're good, thank you.
Mellissa Jayne, you have a fantastic story. I know you kind of mentioned some of it, but getting a chance to get all the background and some of the specific details is fantastic.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's just reality. It is what it is, man. It's so your story is great too.
No, it's we all got a story. That's the thing. The journey
That's
is
right.
different for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yeah.
results at the end is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be like you. I want to have
I
my $1 million
know.
portfolio soon.
Yeah, it's a great place to be, and I'm
Yes.
just getting started.
Awesome. Awesome. So it's so encouraging. It's so inspiring for young people to hear a brother like yourself.
Right.
Um, so I just wish you all the best with your channel. You're just doing so
I
well. I love
know,
it.
like he just has so many gems on his channel. Like
Mm,
I like when he does the, even his videos, and I tell like even his content is really good, and I tell like once he gets monetized, like his channel is gonna surpass my channel because like just what he's speaking about, and then how his videos are edited, and then he's so funny in those videos. So I'm laughing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, he is really this time next year, whoa, he's gonna be really popping.
Well, I appreciate that, ladies. I appreciate that. But today is about you all today. So I wanted definitely just kind of drop some insight on some of the stuff that you all was kind of sharing today. But first, I want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat. Appreciate the support. Appreciate everyone that continue to allow us content creators the opportunity to share. Because they can also tune in somewhere else, but they decide to tune in with us. So
Right.
I definitely want to
Yeah.
thank everyone in the chat. Thank everyone for the support. But one of the things that I hear is when you talk about debt. Okay, I think Tasha, I think you in a peculiar situation because you got questions as it relates to I think most people normally have. They have a lump sum of money, they have debt, they have this, they have a lot of different things. But the first thing that I'm gonna always say is that you absolutely 100% have to get rid of all debt. That's why I gave a specific order in the chat. And the reason why I did it in that order is because it sets you up so when other opportunities pop their head up, you'll be able to take advantage of it and you still have your foundation already set.
Okay.
That's the reason why I said take care of the student loans first, eliminate all debt. So whatever you're doing with the company match, you continue to do that. Delay the Roth IRA because it's only 55,000. And Tasha, like I was stating, you have skills, you have YouTube. So you just got to find additional ways to make extra money, and then it's just you. So you got the opportunity to really get like a mad woman, and you could legitimately get it done in a year and a half.
Right.
I mean, but that requires how obsessed you're going to get, because the only way you can really get it done and not drag it out, you got to be obsessed.
Obsessive. That's right.
You just have to be obsessed with it. But here's the beautiful thing about it. Once you do that, you can leverage everything else in the list to this full advantage. But then what ends up happening, you'll be like Millissa, where when opportunities come, you can take advantage of it then.
Right.
And not have to wait. See, and this is what kills us as a community. We never in position to be prepared. So when the opportunity come, we can't take advantage of it. And that opportunity, it's only certain times, it's certain windows of opportunity, things are going to come, and it could be game changing and life changing.
Right.
But if we're not prepared for it, we miss it every time. So that's the reason why I kind of stated the way I did, was because that's kind of the foundation, the fundamentals that I believe in. Now, is it the only way? No. But that's the way that I know that when you look across the board, it stands the test of time. Because, and Friendsgiving stated it, that word right there, and Millissa Jayne talked about it as well, discipline. Because when you could be disciplined in one area, and Tasha, you already have all the foundation and nuts and bolts of everything. Because you understand and you mastered the credit card industry, how to leverage it. You just take those same concepts they transfer over to getting out of debt, but also building out your portfolio. Because really, when you get out of debt, I'm telling you, Millissa Jayne said it earlier, you have so many options, and it's just you move at a different beat than other people don't move on.
Right.
Because I like, for example, my only debt is my mortgages for my properties, but my properties realistically can pay my actual mortgage in my primary residence.
Right.
However, I don't do that. I'm using the snowball effect now on my mortgages. So again, it just depends on how you want to strategize it. But in all honesty though, you have to absolutely get rid of the student loan debt. So whatever extra money you get focused on it. You got to sell out on it. But
Oh,
the journey at the end, once you free of that, you can do anything you want, how you want. You don't have to ask
mhm.
nobody, and then you can
Right.
get to a position where instead of 55,000 you owe the student loan people, you have 55,000 in one of your accounts.
I
Right?
know. Like that would be
Right?
amazing.
Come on now.
Right.
You just
But you
switch
have
it
to be
around.
disciplined. And here's the reason why the obsession is so important now is because as you work in the journey to pay off the student loan, it's going to be other things that's going to come up that you want to participate in. But you got to have delayed gratification
That's it.
because you
Mm,
know that now your goal is bigger because
right.
the end result is going to be 20 times better.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to. And I'm just trying to teach. So I don't want you to think I'm kind of coming off beating you up or anything like that.
No,
I'm just
no,
trying to
no. I
teach
understand.
because one of the things I heard you say, you mentioned a vacation. Well, when you really assess, you're not going to take that vacation. That vacation is
No,
going to
I'm
come.
taking it.
That
Intentional
vacation is going to
millionaire.
come after
It's
you
from the
get debt
point.
free.
It's
That
from
should
the
be your
point.
reward. And
What?
what you
Yeah.
do is you add another week or two, or you go to two places instead of one. See, that's how but that's me though. That because I'm just that's the only way I know that I was able to get to where I'm at was because once I got out of debt, all my money then was focused on assets.
Mm,
But when I focus on assets, more opportunities start to come. I started to learn more. People start talking
right.
about my name starts circulating certain groups. Like
Wow.
when I mentioned back in January when I did the first Q&A, I had a chance to meet one of the city councils in one of the cities, and they looking
Ooh,
to get $30 million in just housing.
Ooh,
See, because and my name is in that circulation.
nice.
wow.
Now, do that
Nice.
mean I may get part of it? I don't know, but at least I know that my name is at the on the table.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Wally said, "Hold him to the fire, Tim." I know.
So,
Look,
but
he
and this the
Wally. He
reason,
done
but
hit
this
me
the
where
reason
it
why
hurt.
this is important is because too many times that's what we have that challenge is we don't know what to do and why to do it. But that's the reason why that's so critical. But then you also mentioned about should you sell the home or not? Well, if it's going to be in a position where it can produce income, you already know what your house is. You should not sell because actually that could be part of your retirement plan,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
especially with you knowing the area that you in.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with the area. You already see with the changes in the rents, things like that. Because now, if you had a massive amount of debt,
Mm-hmm.
then that would be a different type of conversation.
Right.
You have a low as far as the student loan go that's manageable and doable in two
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable.
years.
Yeah.
So, but that's why I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because what you're in essence doing, you're getting rid of something for a short term benefit, but you're not
Right.
looking at the
Mm-hmm.
long term potential that you're going to have.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So now, in the same token, though, if it was a property that you was not in the most desirable neighborhood or whatever the thing in
Yeah.
that scenario, or was just giving you a headache,
Mm.
then in that case, now would be the time to sell because
Right.
then you got to re-strategize so you can now build your foundation a little bit more solid the right
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah. No, I love my place, and it's perfect. And even like I was saying, I am just so happy that I did buy it because with rents and all that kind of stuff going up, I've been able to keep that consistent, and it's not eating up my budget. So I'm in a perfect scenario that way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily sell.
yeah. I was gonna say, Tasha, um, would you should probably also make a plan. Just write out a plan and how you can achieve it. Like whatever it's gonna take, 3, 4, 5 years. Your student loan first, um your mortgage second, and whatever else, and just just have it planned out, so at least you could sort of like see visually
Right.
what it looks like, what it could look like, and you probably will end up doing it a lot sooner than that because of
Yeah.
the determination that you
Right.
get
Cause see, that's really what I did for the car
for the
loan.
car,
Cause
right?
I got the car loan, and I cause I got it for the 60 months, and then but when I got it, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it in 30 months. And then by the time January came out, I was crunching the numbers and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna pay it off in a year, and I paid
There
it
you
off in
go.
a year.
See, so again, you'll have all the tools in your toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
You have the discipline. You just got to focus it now because you have a lot of different you what it is information overload. And this is what happens when we get on YouTube and you don't have a strategy. So
Right.
that's why you have to now sit down and do what Millissa just said. Write out your plan and your strategy, and you cannot deviate from your plan and your strategy. You use the information that you heard from all the different places. You enhance or add to your strategy, but you don't deviate from your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
See, that was the only thing that I did different than some people in how I was able to build my portfolio, was because I took in information, but I deflected everything that still didn't enhance or add to my program.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the challenge in this day and age. We have so much information, but so much information could also make us paralysis analysis.
Right.
Yeah.
But I would say information overload, but then I also think, it's the mindset, because even in my mindset, it's just like, even though I'm there, it's like with the student loans, you can have student loans forever. So it's like, on the one hand, just having my student loans and my mortgage, that's not really bad. Most people will say that's not really a bad thing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
compared
it
to
is
who?
bad.
Well, they would say maybe that's good then, a mortgage
No, but it's bad because neither one of those is producing income or putting you in a position to make income. So now your primary residence, yes, it's an asset, but it's not producing no actual income because you put money out to stay there.
right.
So now the difference would be if you was renting out a room, house hacking, then it goes
Like
into a
lashes.
different category.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
So and I'm not trying to, discredit anything. I'm just kind of speaking the reality as it is.
Oh yeah.
Because here's the thing. Student loan is good that you have the degree, but you don't have one that's so astronomical that you can't just go ahead and get it done. See, that's kind of like rationalizing where you shouldn't or you should, but you rationalizing because
Yes.
you're using the information that you had,
Right.
had, and you know that. Well,
Right. I'm
You know
trying
what?
to
You know
rationalize
what?
because I want to go on a lot of trips.
I think you want to just take a little break. You've just gone through paying off this 20,000 of the car. You want a couple of months a break, and then you're gonna hit something else, right? So we'll give you a couple of months, but we're gonna see you. This is like an intervention, right?
I know it's a pure intervention right here. Not gonna be right, but I want to see straight from the word. They're still here, but they haven't gave me the thumbs up yet.
Take a chance these days. We don't know who they are.
Oh, Wally says, Tasha, no trips for you.
So Tasha, the trips or the points for the trip, is it only, can you only redeem it in points, or can you redeem it in money?
I could redeem it in money.
Oh, okay. All right.
I could redeem it in.
Just putting it out there.
I could redeem it in money,
to that 55,000.
But I don't. I don't.
So cash rewards plus $20 super chat. You on your way.
Right.
Right. How badly do you want it at the end of the day? How badly?
No, like, wow, that's crazy, because that's what I'm saying. So you got to think. Okay, so if I got 2,000, and then if let's say I had 6,000, so that's gonna be 8,000 that I would put on the student loan.
Right.
Bam, bam.
Listen, one of the young ladies that I had to mentor before getting on YouTube, she bitch paid off $42,000 in student loan, and she did that in a year and a half. I coached her in her business. She do dog training part time. She worked full time. I just show her how to do that in her business and get laser focused on getting the thing paid off. And now she done in a year and a half, and now all the money now, so that same 42,000 that she put down to pay off the student loan, she done already made half of it already.
Wow.
Because all the money now is hers. She's still doing the same amount of effort. And that's
Yeah.
really the benefit. And I don't want you to think of directing this to you, using this really as a training
No. Yeah.
position for people in the chat, is because
Mhm.
this is the danger that normally stunts our future wealth. Because the things that linger, and they linger so long that you miss opportunity, because
Right.
everything with money has a cost. It's either a now cost. So I think I like to say is a present cost or a future cost, but it is a cost.
Mm. Will those student loans ever grow interest or no?
Well, right now they have the student loans, like no student loan payment or no interest on it. And so my company is still making payments on the student loan. So that's great. And I want to say in May, that's when Biden is going to decide, okay, what am I going to do with the student loans? And is he going to extend the no student loan interest or what? And so I feel like really it's the student loan interest is what eats it up so much, And so it's just like on one hand, let's say he does extend the no student loan, even if it's a no student loan interest, then, I could put, let's say the 6,000 on down on it, and then it would take me down. It would take it lower. But I was considering possibly even refinancing it to my Navy Federal because they have a lower interest rate. Because my interest rate on it is like 6%. So if I could do that, let's say even if they make us start paying back, and then with the interest, that's going to eat it up too. So it's really the interest, like I'm just like, oh my gosh, with the student loans.
You got this, Tasha. Because how much did you pay your car off in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much?
$20,299 in a
So
year.
that's almost half the student loan.
Right.
So that's why my number said about 2 years you can have it done.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, but you is really up to you at this point. You just gotta wanna, and then
Yeah.
just go ahead and get it done, because you really can do it in a year and a half, in my opinion. But you got to get laser focus on it, and then you can have the rest of your life to do what you want. You can
Right.
take as many trips as you want, and then you can do all the trips, and then you can come back, and you still ain't got to pay nobody no money.
and
Right.
it'll go quickly. It'll go ever so quickly.
Okay, y'all. Well, straight from the eight. Straight from the word. You got one more chance. If you can just turn your camera on for a little bit and let me see you, and then you can turn it off, and then I'll add you here onto the chat because you were giving some gems. You were dropping some real gems on your in the comments. Let's see. So, but if not, and if nobody else has any questions, then we're gonna just go ahead and end the live stream. But while we wait for them, he or she, I'm not for sure, to cam up for a little bit. Let's see what Wealth Talk Production says. Yes, stay firm now, chips later, and be debt free. Most definitely. So first, MJ, I just really appreciate you coming on here and telling us
Absolutely.
more about your journey. And so would you just tell us a little bit about your channel?
Sure. So my channel is my name, Millissa Jayne, spelled with 2 L's, 2 S's, and the Y in the Jane. So the channel is about the first quarter, at least. The first quarter is going to be about wealth. All of the guests that I've had on the channel, and I've had both of these wonderful people, Tasha, Major Change Group, and also the Intentional Millionaire, talking about finances, wealth, business, anything to do with just progressing and having a healthy, wealthy life. So we're going to continue on that vein for the rest of this quarter. And then the other side of things, I do talk about some tech tips and that social media tips and strategies, digital marketing, and that sort of thing. So I have several playlists on, how to use StreamYard, how to use Instagram, how to use Facebook, things like that. So those are the two main areas that I have at the moment. And I think I'm probably going to um, be going off into a different direction, and that is going to be to do with investing and crypto, because I've been
Ooh,
learning about this for some time now,
wow.
and in order for me to really stay on my game with that, it's probably easy if I'm talking about it all the time. So that's where I might go into, whether it's a separate channel or I'll just go in a different direction. Because I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm still trying to find my feet and where this channel's going. But I really appreciate you so much, Tasha, for having me. It's been awesome sharing
Yes.
my story with you. And of course, Intentional Millionaire, it's always good to hear you. Um, it's the information that you bring is so good. It's just up to us to act on it, because there's many things that you've said, Intentional Millionaire, that I still haven't acted upon yet. And it's just a matter of time. So I appreciate you as well.
Most definitely. And Wealth Talk Production says you talk about wealth, but I didn't get the invite. We gotta get Wealth
Oh wow. Yeah, I've got to invite him too.
right. An Intentional Millionaire. Let us know about your channel.
All right, so on my channel, as you know, it's called the Intentional Millionaire. And on my channel, I teach, coach, and train men how they can have $1 million portfolio also. And on the channel, I just do it in a sense where I try to provide the nuts and bolts of finances. And one of the beautiful things that I do on the channel is I try to help everyone understand this the finances based off of how the world view finances. And what do I mean from a statistic standpoint? So that's kind of what I do on the channel. And I do live streams where I have people come up. I do live Q&As.
Mm.
People come up
Mhm.
and can ask me questions. I did a great stream today with blind guy there, what his wife, their life,
Oh, okay. I
where
didn't see
people was
that one.
just kind of coming with questions, and I was just
Hmm.
answering the questions.
It's good.
So that's really what I do on the channel. I just try to really provide the mindset from a financial standpoint. But the key is making sure that you consider how your decision today is also going to affect you in the future.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for joining the live stream. And I hope that you guys could, all the good YouTube channels that were in the chat. We got Wealth Engineering, we got Lash's Journey, we had Love to Travel with Wade, we had Points Blank Travel. So many good YouTube channels. Y'all have to check them out. But I thank y'all so much for joining, and I hope that y'all have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Have a good one.
Bye. Thanks
All
again.
right, thanks. Y'all have a
Bye.
good night.
You
Bye.
too.